Paragraph 7.1.
of your statement?
7.1.
7.1. Is it that matter? Is it in relation to that matter or a different matter?
Can I please check?
Please do.
Chairperson, just to save time, simply put, my instructions are that General Mkonazi told the client there's a warrant of arrest out for you. You will be arrested on the matter that is currently parted in the High Court of Johannesburg. I think it's easier that we just place it on record.
Chair, I have challenges. I don't know whether...
I also, even as you started speaking, Ms. Vanenhoefer, it's Mr. Matlala who's testifying, and let Mr. Matlala respond to questions. You may speak, of course we can never gag you. You may speak if you want to raise an issue. But what you just said, I think, is an evidentiary matter to which it is Mr. Matlala who should respond.
Thank you, Chair. And I think perhaps that we need a cautionary note going forward that in trying to assist the Commission, perhaps Ms. Van der Heever takes particular note of the risk of testifying from the bar, because then it places me in a very difficult position of not knowing whether to invite her into the witness box. My question...
Can you please repeat your question?
There must be a difference between an answer to the question, why did you not address 2.36? Because he didn't address it. We're talking about his affidavit, not your legal opinion on why it should not be addressed. The question is, you filed an affidavit in answer to questions. There's 2.36. You did not answer that question. The witness is completely competent and must answer that question, why he did not address it. You can argue later on, but what you're doing now is you're giving answers that the witness should give, and that's improper. It's improper. That's what you have just done now. And I would urge that you allow the witness to speak to answer a factual question. It's a fact. This can only be a factual answer to the question, why did you not answer? If he wants to say, because my lawyer advised me not to, or speak to my lawyer, that's his answer to the question. Then we know why he did not answer it. But what you've just done now is improper. You're answering questions, and you can't argue past it. You're answering questions on behalf of a witness, and that's improper.
Commissioner, you've now 3 times said that I acted improper. The intention was not to act improper. The intention was to bring to your attention that this is an issue that's got a legal basis in it. But I understand what you're saying, and the witness can answer the question.
Well, you've answered it already. Ms. Silo, do you want to ask the question again? Maybe you'd say it differently.
I think it's pointless asking the question again. If Mr. Matlala is an attentive listener, he would know what to say. And I agree with you, Commissioner Baloyi, because I think...
Alleged crime-linked businessman Vusimuzi Matlala has distanced himself from several senior police officials and other prominent figures whose names have emerged during his testimony before the commission. Matlala was questioned on Monday about his alleged relationships with the senior enforcement figures, including Police Minister Senzo Mchunu, KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, Deputy National Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya, and Crime Intelligence Head Major General Feroz Khan. Evidence leader Advocate Mahlape Silo also raised the names of suspended KwaZulu-Natal Hawks head Lisitsha Sinona, Senior Organized Crime Officer Robert Jibiri, and suspended Ekurhuleni Metropolis Deputy Commissioner Julius Mkhwanazi. However, Matlala declined to provide substantive answers on several of the officials, citing concerns about the ongoing criminal proceedings and his right against self-incrimination. Asked about his relationship with Medicare CEO Mike van Wyk, Matlala said he would not describe van Wyk as a friend. My relationship with Mike van Wyk is a subject of a matter pending before the court. Van Wyk was the CEO of Matlala's company, Medicare 24, which held a contract with the South African Police Service. He said, I do not wish to incriminate myself. Mike was the CEO of my company, Medicare. the very same company that had a contract with SAPS. I therefore claim my right not to incriminate myself. Matlala also denied having relationships with Andrew Boy Mthethwa and Katiso Molefe. He said his first interaction with Brown Mokgotsi came when Mokgotsi contacted him while his home was being raided, and said prior to this incident I had no dealings with Brown Mokgotsi. According to Matlala, Mokgotsi had presented himself as someone from the office of the police minister and appeared to have used the claim to persuade him to provide financial assistance. The evidence comes amid scrutiny of Matlala's alleged access to senior police officials and claims of a wider network involving business people and law enforcement figures. On Mchunu, however, Matlala was unequivocal and said, I do not have any relationship with Minister Senzo Mchunu. I have never met Mchunu and have had no interactions with him, nor have I been at any gatherings where he was present. Silo questioned Matlala on whether he had ever attempted to offer Mchunu a gift, benefit or inducement. Matlala denied this, also rejecting suggestions that he had sought favors from the minister or communicated with him through intermediaries. His evidence appeared to distance him from allegations surrounding Mokgotsi, who has been accused of attempting to facilitate contact with Mchunu on Matlala's behalf. Matlala was further questioned about his alleged links to Julius Mkhwanazi and other police officials. When asked why certain names had been omitted from his supplementary statement, Matlala said the omissions were deliberate and said there are some reasons I did that deliberately because I have reasons why I did not include them. He linked the omissions to recordings in which he allegedly claimed to have corrupt relationships with senior police officials, disputing aspects of the recordings. Matlala's refusal to elaborate left several questions unanswered about the alleged network of relationships between him and senior law enforcement figures, a key area of scrutiny before the commission. Meanwhile, the former Investigative Directorate Against Corruption IDEC head, Advocate Andre Johnson, allegedly ordered investigators to hunt for links between Vusimuzi Matlala and Police Commissioner General Van Masemola's daughter through the electronic devices in a bid to remove the chief from the office. This is despite prosecutors finding no prima facie evidence connecting the family to Matlala's case. IDEC prosecutor Trishanta Ramsey made the allegation while testifying before the Madlanga Commission, saying investigators were specifically directed to look for communications or associations between Matlala and Masemola's daughter, and said Johnson said that the snap search analysis on Matlala's devices should look for links with General Masemola's daughter. She said the instruction formed part of a broader investigation involving Masemola and Crime Intelligence Head Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo. This was meant to link Masemola to Matlala's controversial 360 million rand contract from SAPS. According to Ramsey, Johnson ordered a snapshot analysis of Matlala's electronic devices. The investigators leading the crime intelligence probes, including Dylan Perumal and Brian Padayachi. Ramsey also said Johnson instructed the team to establish whether Matlala's devices contained links to Advocate Andrew Chauke after she received a formal referral from former National Director of Public Prosecutions, Shamila Batoi. What's your take on this one, people? Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more.